Welcome to Shae Jo, by the way. I'm super excited about you guys being here.
The Manor at Shae Jo is a beautiful historical Lincoln County venue located near the border of Lincoln and Moore counties. We spoke with the owner, Christi Long, about her concerns about nearby activities of whiskey manufacturer Jack Daniel's. Christi, I want to thank you for sitting down with me. Tell me about yourself as well as the Manor at Shae Jo and your business.
I'm originally from here, born and raised. My parents still live in the same house I was born and raised in. So when I go home, I really go home. I actually can go into my bedroom growing up. So it's kind of fun to go home to see Mother. I have always loved to entertain. I'm the type of person that I always kid with my brides in reference to everybody likes to drink the Pinterest Kool-Aid, but they can't actually create it. Well, I have a creative mind, so I'm able to take their dream and bring it into a reality. So one of the things that we were looking for a couple of years ago was a venue. My husband and I, when we first met, I'm like, hey, one of the things I would like to do whenever I grow up is to own a venue. And he's like, no way, me too. So Patrick and I kind of took that on as something that we wanted to do together as a venue. And we've looked at several different locations and things like that. The Marshall house had been for sale for over a year before we bought it. Actually, probably a year and a half. And the house itself is almost 200 years old. And when Mr. Marshall took it over, it was in ruins. So he actually took it all the way down to the studs and recreated this beautiful home that everybody knows with a white house and the copper roof with the two flags, the two flagpoles. And so we decided we would buy this, and we took it on as an adventure. And I believed in this place when we first bought it, because everybody that comes on property is like, it's magical. You just kind of come in and you feel at home. You feel, because we're not in the hustle and the bustle of like Huntsville or Nashville. It's just a great location to come together as family and friends. I love people, and I love making their dreams come true in a reality here at Shae Jo.
And I'll say, like, every time I've passed through here, I love the layout of this place, and it is a gorgeous property.
It is.
Which this kind of brings me back to kind of why we're here.
Right, today, yes.
What is the black stuff that's around?
So the black stuff it's a black fungus, and it is created by barrel houses that Jack Daniel's have in our local area. So you're from here, I'm from here, so we've always been to Lynchburg. I could probably quote what the going through the the tours, because I've been through it so many times. Now, anytime my friends come home or want to come visit me, they're like, oh, we got to go see Jack Daniel's, because that's the thing to do. And it is a cool thing to go see. And Jack Daniel's touches countries from all over the world. So their product is shipped all over the world. So people come, it's a destination for people to come to Jack Daniel's, a little bitty town that has a red light, a stop sign, and that's about it. So it's super cool that we are actually, in that same line with them. So when we bought the property almost 2 years ago, we did know that there was two barrel houses next to my property. I think it's 200 and some yards from my house itself. So two barrel houses are maintainable, but since I have been here for the past 2 years, I noticed a huge change in my plants, and I was told that, hey, to get the black fungus off of your house, which my house is the copper roof. Everybody knows the house with a white house with a copper roof. That's me. The only way to get the black fungus off is a mixture of Clorox and water. And you have to do a soft wash. So that costs money. Every time, if I get all of my buildings washed, it's about $3,000 to $4,000 each time they come. I just recently paid for this building to be redone. It's almost a little over $1,000, because I had a huge storm come through recently, and I got a new roof on my carriage house. So that didn't have to be cleaned yet. But if you go by my property, you also see my barn. I sit on 8 acres here. My barn has not been washed, and I do that for a reason, just to kind of see how much buildup I'm going to get. But the vegetation, going back to that, is since Since we've been here, I have planted about 200 plants, I think, new. Well, probably out of the 200 plants that I have planted myself since I've been here, I probably have 2 that have survived. And it's not because of the drought. It's not because I wasn't watering. It's because when you go out there, they are being suffocated, because the black fungus, essentially what it does, it starts attaching itself to anything that stands still long enough. So it just continues to corrode and continue to build up and continue to build up. And just like basic science states, it's just photosynthesis. So if the light can't get into the limb, or if the light can't get into the leaf, needless to say, eventually it's going to do a slow death. So recently, in the front of my house, I took down 4 trees, and then on the side of my home, I took down additional 60s. I think altogether I took down 10 trees. And the reason why is because they were so coated in the black fungus that the storm is going to take them down for me, which at least when I took them down, it was a controlled takedown, versus when the storm came, sometimes it just takes them down and there's no controlling of where they fall. Speaking of becoming, having a beautiful place to have a beautiful wedding, is that I was noticing that, like, my hostas, I probably have like 20 plus hostas on this property. One of the things, by midsummer, my hostas were covered in black fungus. So what I had to do is I had my landscaper cut them all back. And then, as you can tell, they're growing back. Within a couple of weeks, of course, now it's getting cold, they'll die, but we can cut it all back, the plants, but you can't cut trees back. They're not going to grow like a normal plant grows. You can't cut a tree all the way back to its nub and expect to have a new tree. I mean, these are really old trees. And so that's the biggest concern, is just understanding the impact that it has on our environment.
Can you speak to what is causing the black fungus?
So the black fungus is, now we have barrel houses right next to our property. So essentially what happens with those barrel houses, what we're getting in Lincoln County and what's different than what's happening in Lynchburg, is that our warehouses that are being proposed for Lincoln County will be housing 66,000 barrels. That's triple of what one barrel house does in Lynchburg. Think about that. Now, I currently have 2 functioning, and when I went to the commissioners meeting, I'm like, hey, see my plants, see the problem. That's with 2 barrel houses. Can we imagine what it's going to be when I get 6 to the 20 that are being proposed eventually? And so what happens is that when Jack has always said that their whiskey is aged over time, 6 to 10 years, 6 to 8 years, something to that nature. Well, now what is happening is that these new barrel houses that Lincoln County is getting are totally different design than what's in Lynchburg. If you just drive by the ones on the right-hand side of the road going down Lynchburg Highway, the ones you see have a lot of, we call them windows. They could be called filtration, whatever they look like windows, slats. And they're all over the building. But if you look at the ones that are coming up next to our home and our property in District 6, they do not have that. That design is totally different. So essentially what they're doing is they're allowing air to come through, forced air through that and up to the ceiling. Well, that is where they are submitting all their ethanol out of the top of the vent. Well, now, back in the day, they would talk about how they would have to rotate the barrels because heat rises. So they would have to rotate the barrels due to the fact that they're trying to age it properly, because if it's cool down here, then those barrels need to go up to the heat a little bit, so it's a constant rotation for them. Well, now, from what we understand, is that these new barrel houses don't require that. So they all stand up together instead of being laid down like they tell you before. Because now they control, with these new barrel houses, they can control their temperature, which means that they can age quicker. I do know their demand for their alcohol is much greater. They can't meet the demand. They're running 3 shifts at Jack Daniel's right now. They are producing more alcohol than they have places to actually put it. So back to your original question is, what is causing the black fungus? Well, the bacteria that we're talking about is fed by the ethanol. The ethanol is being secreted from the barrel house and in return makes the fungus grow. With the amount of barrel houses we're going to have and the size of the barrel houses, it's going to grow 3 times more than what something would grow in Lynchburg. If you go to their property, their campus right now, you do not see as much black because their barrel houses are much smaller.
3 times more.
3 times more. Because the current barrel house over in Lynchburg holds 22,000. So it's kind of like, why would anybody in District 6 want that next to their home? They know, we all know, if you're from here and you've been to Lynchburg, if you just drive through Lynchburg to go to Tullahoma, what do you see? You see the blackness. And also, did you know when their barrel houses are first built, they're silver? They're not black. They're not dark. And why is that? It's because over time it changes the color. Over time it's the bacteria that overcomes anything that's standing still. Just like, look at my gas tanks, they're black. Look at my trees, they're black. I look like Jurassic Park whenever I don't have leaves because it's just corroded and it strangles my plants and things to death. It's essentially what it does.
Why is Jack Daniel's moving into Lincoln County?
Well, I wish I had a true answer to that because we asked that when we realized that once we bought, we were sitting on the front porch one day and we're like, oh my gosh, they are building over here. And Patrick and I were looking at each other like, we looked at that. We looked at the fact because the other land is still zoned agriculture.
Well, because y'all are in such close proximity to these barrel houses, so you have a beautiful property. You personally have a lot to lose with this, and the cleaning cost you've mentioned. Is there anyone else that's affected by this?
Oh yes, District 6 is full of people, and one of the things that we did is we did create a Facebook group, and that way some of these people I've never even met before. It's really sad because between my day job and trying to keep this place up and going, I've not been able to go out and meet. But through Facebook, we've been able to meet our neighbors. We have people that show pictures of now their backyards look like quarries. And again, I go back to none of this was ever voted on. Everything that's happening out there right now is currently illegal. We have never went through the proper process to get anything over there that's currently being done. Even the 2 that are operational are not legally done within Lincoln County's laws. All that land is owned as agriculture. So the 2 functional barrel houses currently are sitting at commercial. Well, commercial zoning does not allow hazardous material. Alcohol, at the state that it is considered hazardous material because it would blow up. The one simple thing we are asking is this. If you're going to bring barrel houses into Lincoln County, require filtration systems. That would stop the black fungus, and it would stop any additional ethanol that could cause lung damage in our community in District 6. And guess what? We all win. We all win. Lincoln County gets their property tax. District 6 don't turn black like Lynchburg. And Jack Daniel's gets their warehouses. We all win. People care about things. People care about the environment. People care about lineage. People care about people's heritage. People care about what matters to them. And in District 6, we care about our land. And we want them to do their part. Because just because back in the day in Lynchburg, we're okay with the black fungus and them destroying our land, we don't have to be that way now. We all care. We care about what's happening. So if we make it a point of making everybody else care, then the filtration system shouldn't be a problem. Why can't it just be as simple as put on the filtration system? If you're not willing to do that, then don't come to Lincoln County and be a polluter. It's really not that hard.
Thank you, Christi.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time and
appreciate you very much
speaking with us.
Absolutely.